Assalamu alaikum. Hello and greetings to all of you. My name is Halima Hajat and I am going to be delivering the health podcast brought to you by UCTV. And today we're going to talk about why medical conditions and chronic conditions are happening so much right now. Okay? Now, I'm not sure about you, but when I sit down with my grandparents and we talk and we discuss things with family, we always talk about they always talk about how back in the day there was little to no medical problems. Everyone had struggles, they all went out and worked really hard, they all lived together, and they had their own set of challenges. But having a chronic condition was something really unheard of. Like it was very rare for someone to have cancer. It was very rare for, multiple people, lots of people within the family unit to be suffering from all sorts of medical problems. Okay, and now, if you look at it nowadays, everyone has someone in their family that's suffering. And it seems like everywhere you look in the community, someone somewhere is suffering with something. So what's going on, right? Like, why is there this massive rise? Just looking at some of my notes, I've got some stats here. And apparently there are 4 million people in the UK, right? This is a 2021 stat. There's 4 million people in the UK that have an autoimmune condition, right? And autoimmune conditions are an umbrella of loads of diseases that are caused by your immune system overacting and really attacking itself, right? And it's really, really painful, inflammatory stuff. Things like Crohn's disease, Hashimoto's, type 1 diabetes, all of these come under autoimmune disorders. And not to mention, even with cancer, where's the notes? Yeah, there are around 375,000 new cancer cases in the UK, just in the UK, every year, right? And that's around 1,000 cases every single day. Now, that is, it's really, it's just like, wow. Like, how much is this happening? It is, something to be really, really shocked at, surprised at. And we need to do something about it, right? And even with, obviously, we know, like, mental health, obviously, it's something that everyone talks about right now. And it's kind of increased fivefold over the past 20 years or so, right? And so all of these disorders, all of these chronic conditions are happening so much. And I think it's important, obviously, before we go into, what's happened, why is this happening, and what's changed, we also need to understand, the kind of default of how our body works, right? In the sense of our body, the way that it's designed to heal, it's designed to repair, and it's designed to constantly try to promote living. Okay, so for example, what it will do is, say for example, I eat sugar, right? I had a slice of cake, I ate it, it went in my stomach, it went into my body. Obviously that sugar content has gone into my bloodstream and my blood sugar level has gone up. And now this is obviously quite damaging to the body, right? Especially if it's quite a lot of it, it can be quite damaging. And so the body responds and knows that it needs to get back to a place of safety. It needs to get back to a place where it's going to preserve the body and promote the body's living. So the body produces insulin and brings that blood sugar level down. And in the same way, if we fall down and we hurt ourselves, okay, we scab up, that is a sense of danger that our body is kind of like, realize that this person, or I've hurt myself, I'm bleeding, I've got a massive cut on my leg, right? And so what does the body do? It realizes, okay, I need to get back to the safe zone. I need to kind of get back to healing, repair, and promote living. as the body, this is what it does. It goes into the bloodstream, goes to my knee and starts stitching it all up, and now it's kind of healing up and scabbing up that wound, that cut. So in the next few days it then heals up, and now I'm back to normal, right? So we've got this baseline default mechanism that our body is designed to live. It's designed to promote being alive, right? And everything it does is is to promote that, is to help doing that. So what's happened is that somewhere something has gone wrong, fundamentally wrong in our body, where a switch has been flipped somewhere, or something has been affected so much now that the body is displaying a whole range of diseases, painful symptoms, and all sorts of other things. Okay. And so like we need to understand what's changed. So I would think back to 30-40 years ago, and I'm 30 right now, so I don't know, but I'm sure you guys in the comments, you'll be able to share loads more. But this is stuff that I get from talking to my parents, talking to my granddad, and they tell me that 30-40 years ago they used to have everything home cooked, right? They used to have simpler lives. They felt there was a lot more love and compassion. They had time to do things with each other. There was presence, right? There was a sense of presence. But just generally as well, in terms of the food they ate, the way that they lived, everything was a lot more simpler. Everything was a lot more natural. That doesn't mean it didn't come with its fair share of challenges. It just means that what it was 30-40 years ago and what it is now is two very different ways of living. And so there's a lot of factors, a lot of things that have changed over the years. But I'm going to share just one thing right now that I feel like is something really important that we don't realize as much. Now, when we think about cancer, when we think about a lot of these conditions, I remember cancer was something so rare that you only were at risk of getting cancer if you were exposed to some kind of nuclear plant, or like from a bomb blast, or something where there was radiation. And where there was a risk of radiation, there was a risk of getting cancer. And so it then kind of a lot of people didn't have that risk. But nowadays, if you think nowadays, and we see the amount of cancer and things like that coming about, it's then becoming really, really questionable that if it's going to be something as toxic, as dangerous as radiation that causes cancer, then what does that tell you about the environment that we're living in? Okay, and I personally think this is one of the biggest changes from 30-40 years ago to today. and that is the amount of toxins there are in the environment and the amount of toxins that we are consuming on a day-to-day basis without realizing. Okay, and when I say toxin, I don't mean like something poisonous or radiation or someone's out to, you know, poison you or something like that. No, what I'm talking about is the things in our food, things in our drink, the things in our air, in our homes. There are toxins all around us. Just to give you an example, who knows what turmeric milk is? So do you drink turmeric milk? I'm like from a South Asian background, and so turmeric milk is a milk warmed up with turmeric inside of it, sometimes some cinnamon or something, and we normally have it to kind of boost immune system, especially when you're feeling unwell. Okay, amazing for coughs and colds, nice and warm and soothing. It's really good for you, right? But if I made that same turmeric milk today, chances are I'm not going to get the benefit, and chances are I'm going to probably get some kind of inflammation or some kind of negative effect from having it, right? And the reason being is that the milk inside of the turmeric milk, the milk that is produced today, is very different from the milk that was produced 30-40 years ago, right? You know, something my mother-in-law says is that 30-40 years ago, they used to have the milkman come and he used to drop the milk off, and the milk was such that at the top of the bottle you used to get the thick cream that they used to then scrape off, right? And I, in my 30 years of being alive, have never seen that kind of milk, right? I only see what's on the supermarket. And so that's natural milk. That's what they had back then. That's proper, pure, natural milk. What we have today is something that has been processed, filtered, added stuff in it, taken things away. It's been modified, edited, all sorts of things, and now we have this milk that sits on our supermarket shelf, and it does not have the benefits of pure milk. And it you know, in fact, because it's been changed so much, it now actually is not really that natural anymore, and so it affects us in a negative way. And so there's toxins in the milk that are affecting us, right? There's toxins in our poultry, in our chicken, in our meats and things like that, because of the way that the farming industry has changed over time, and that mass scale kind of farming industry, and the way that they treat the chickens and the farm animals, etc. All of these things play into the part in how they actually rear these animals, what kind of things they're being fed. Because a lot of the time they're not just feeding fresh grass, they're being feeding artificial grains, right? And so if they're eating all of this fake stuff, they are being prepped and things for to be sold in the market, and then obviously that's stuff that we're eating. And so we're eating things that are going away from natural sources, right? If you look in our home, we have got TVs, microwaves, literally like a dozen devices around the home. All of these things radiate toxins into our air, and we're absorbing them on a daily basis. So there are toxins all around us, and there was never this much back when it was years ago. They used to eat simple, they used to drink simple, they had purer foods, they had more natural foods. And today it seems like a lot of the foods that we're eating, even if we try and go for the natural products, a lot of it is contaminated with something or another. And therefore we are constantly putting in our body and inflaming our bodies from the inside, and this is really causing a lot of issues. And especially if you already have chronic conditions, when you're having these toxins on a daily basis, what happens is your chronic conditions are in constant state of flare up. They're in constant pain, and it's constantly always there, and your head's feeling foggy, you don't have the energy, because your body is trying to fight all of these toxins, and on top of that is trying to stabilize your symptoms and your chronic medical conditions. It's trying to take on too much, okay? And this is also why we have a lot of mental health problems as well, because we don't have this concept these days of just slowing down and being present. We are constantly rushing about, being busy, doing this and doing that, and we don't have this sense of just having a moment to just let our body and let our mind just take a minute and relax and slow down. And years ago, yeah, they had all sorts of challenges, but they had presence. They knew to kind of sit down, talk to each other, spend time, and just kind of let themselves be. And we don't give ourselves time to do that anymore. So those are like this is obviously a very deep subject, and we will cover this in another episode. But today I just wanted to touch on how things have changed over the years, and one of those key changes being the amount of toxins that we take in from our environment without us realizing. Okay, and if this is something that resonates with you, you agree with it, or you have something to share, please go ahead and share your feedbacks and your comments below, and we will try and pick them up. Thank you for listening. This is Halima coming to you from the Health Podcast, brought to you by UCTV. Thank you.